guys, welcome to Denny's. Today we are going to be looking at a build for Luna. This is specifically going to be a mobbing build that I put together on stream. Don't forget to follow me over there on Twitch. This is going to be pretty solid after the changes that they made to Luna, so I am looking forward to this one. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube if you feel that I have earned it, and I'll comment any feedback you got from me. But let's jump right into the video. One last thing I would like to remind everybody, I will be on vacation, so I won't be live streaming, but we are live 5 days a week typically. But for about 10 days, I'll be on vacation, so expect to see me back on the 1st of February. But now let's jump into the video. All right, so kicking it off with the modules with Luna, this is going to be a mobbing build, so we are not going to go over any support builds in this video. This is going to be specifically to do with the Transcendent mod Noise Surge. So Noise Surge modifies our entire Luna kit. It is quite in depth. I won't be doing an in-depth Luna look as I am very new to playing her. However, I have the basic idea down and I can give a starter guide on how to use her. She is quite an interactive Descendant. Not a lot of people will like that. You are going to have to pay attention quite a bit to the game, but she is very good and very fun. So we're going to jump into it with the Noise Surge. So Noise Surge basically makes it so all of our abilities do damage and they self-buff instead of providing buffs to our allies. So for example, the second ability gives us critical hit rate. Third ability gives us critical hit damage, and the last ability, the fourth ability, gives us skill power modifier increase, and it all stacks up to 13 times. So we can get 26 base critical hit rate, 26% base critical hit damage, and 26% base skill power modifier. Now, as you can see, the duration, obviously, we want to make sure that we are getting good enough duration to keep these up while rotating them all to keep our 13 stacks up. So it takes a little bit of build up, but once you get to 13 stacks of all of them, you are going to start pumping some damage like crazy, to be honest. You're not as fast as Bunny, but you are doing very good damage, and you can get to 100% crit easily on her to do a ton of damage. So we're going to start off with the increased HP. It's very important to always be tanky on Ascendants. I think that you could probably throw in 2 in this build, but I have 1. You could replace something with the increased HP. Something like Multi-Talented would be fine with replacing. Multi-Talented is just giving us an extra 30% attribute damage permanently. Obviously, all of our abilities are singular except for our first ability. So whenever we use our abilities to use the notes, we will be getting that 30% damage increase. Now, the emergency measures, front lines, and skill concentration are the only crit mods you need. Now, the reason that I'm not using skill insight, guys, is basically because I believe that this may be the first time we're seeing critical hit rate be actually very important on a reactor. If you get critical hit rate on Luna's reactor, you can get 90% plus critical hit rate, and that is going to make it extremely good, and we get an extra mod slot by dropping one of the crit mods, because if you do use skill insight, you lose an entire crit mod just for gaining right around like 5 to 10% critical hit rate. In my opinion, that is just not worth it. Running critical hit rate on the reactor is going to be much more worth it, because we can run something like Multi-Talented, which is going to give us 30% damage increase, or again, we can run a second HP mod, which is very nice for Luna, because a lot of the time you do have the shield recovery from hitting notes and stuff like that, but a lot of the time you have issues with survivability. Just because she can be kind of squishy if you're not running the proper components. As far as the damage we're going to be doing, it's non-attribute specialist, and it is maximize power. The reason we have maximize power is because cooldown, for the first time ever it feels like, does not matter on Luna. It only matters, and it becomes quite punishing if you miss a note. So if you miss a note, your abilities will go on cooldown, and that, yes, they do have kind of a long cooldown. It goes around 15 seconds with maximize power. So if you do not want to run maximize power here, run something like singular boost or singular specialist. This is going to give us singular damage for that less punishing kind of playstyle. But if you want to get a little bit more damage out of all your abilities, maximize power is definitely the way. And if you have the utmost faith in your ability to basically never miss a note, you can swap non-attribute specialist out for maximize skill. That's going to give us a giant chunk of skill power and make it so that we are doing a ton more damage as well. As far as the other mods, we've got amplification control, skill expansion. That's going to be for our range. Now, all of Luna's abilities are maxed out at 250. So what that means is you got to make sure you get your 100% from the skill expansion. It's really only 92%, but the extra 50% will come from amplification control, and then the extra little bit will come from quantum domain this season. So we'll be able to always be capped out on our range with Luna. Obviously, you start off at the 100% range, so this gives us the extra 150 we need to get that 250%. And then the other important one that I talked about in the beginning, skill extension. Want to make sure we have skill extension because we want to be able to always keep all 13 stacks of all these buffs up, and that is making it a little bit less punishing if you do miss a note, because skill extension will make it so that you can recover very easily, because those durations will all be right around 20 seconds long for all of their buffs, which is quite nice for Luna. But now with the Descendant mods over, let's jump over into the Reactor. Okay, so for the Reactor, we have obviously singular abilities as well as non-attribute. So we're using the materialized singularity reactor. This is going to give us non-attribute and singular boost. Now, as far as the mounted, unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot that we can use as far as unique abilities from weapons. So what I'm going to be using is anything I can get my hands on, mainly because we aren't really using anything other than our weapon with Luna anyway. So I've got a beam rifle, but again, doesn't really matter. Now, with the rolls, this is what's quite important in my opinion. You absolutely need, again, in my opinion, for this build, critical hit rate. So critical hit rate is going to make it so that basically all of our crit is going to come from the stacking the second ability on Luna. It's going to get us up to 90% critical hit rate, and that is if you have it fully stacked with this critical hit rate on the reactor. If you don't, then you're going to be right around like 70%. And like I said, I believe it's actually quite important to have critical hit rate in this case, because that's going to boost our damage more than anything else could, like, you know, singular boost or non-attribute boost, etc. Right? So yeah, critical hit rate's the big one. As far as the other one, it really depends on what you guys want to do. It really doesn't matter. You could do singular boost, you could do non-attribute boost, you could do a faction boost if you want to do a specific void erosion. You could literally do anything. I'm personally going to go for singular boost or duration. I think duration, having the extra little 10% of duration, would help it be even less punishing to miss a note on Luna. Even the cooldown, obviously with maximize power, the cooldown that we are losing. So yeah, the rules for the reactor, there they are. We're going to jump over to the components. Okay, so for the components, we are going to be using the Slayer set. Now, you are quite squishy on Luna, so if you're having any issue surviving on Luna with a Slayer set, you can absolutely swap to something like the Invader set, gives you max HP and shield. I believe that is dropped from the Deathstalker encounter. That one's really good for survivability. However, if you want to get as much damage as you can out, Slayer set's the way to go with that 26.1% skill power we get from equipping the 4 set. And as far as the rolls, this is actually the first time we see the MP doesn't really matter as much. Obviously, with other builds and Luna specifically, you definitely want to have max MP as it increases your kind of buffs for allies and stuff. But all we really need to make sure is we have max HP on the aux power. We have max MP recovery combat just in case on the sensor, but you don't absolutely need it. And the memory just have defense and MP recovery modifier. And processor, as ever, just max shield, equipment drop rate increase. I think max shield is quite important on Luna specifically, just because she does have that shield recovery whenever she hits a note. She gets a nice little bit of shield recovery. It's not a whole ton, but it increases her shield recovery a decent amount. Again, not going to make you like a super tank or anything, but it's nice to have that extra shield to kind of play with that synergy. So yeah, that is the Slayer set. As far as the other sets you can use the Invader set. You can even use the Annihilation set. The Annihilation set's pretty good with her because you're getting a lot of HP and you're getting the extra duration for even more kind of the less punishing from missing a note. But there it is there. All right, so we're going to skip over everything and jump to the Inversion Reinforcement because we're not using a weapon on Luna. So with the Inversion Reinforcement, it's going to be quite a bit different than the other ones because we're not really worried about MP. We're not really worried about a whole lot of other that stuff. So we're going to go for Biodensity Augmentation, giving us a nice 50% HP for 30 seconds. Obviously, 11 stacking up to 5 times, 11%. That's going to give us that whenever we are defeating an enemy. So we're always going to have 50% HP, basically, whenever you're mobbing with Luna. Abyss Enhancement, this is going to reduce the damage we take and increase our grapple, or reduce our grapple cooldown time by about 38%. And that is very fun, obviously, using the grapple, so you can kind of use your melee right before the grapple ends to get that extra little spin animation and go very fast. And to segue over, using the word fast, we're going to go with Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline Rush is going to give us 16% movement speed for 10 seconds with a cooldown of 20 seconds. So that is quite nice. I did skip over the weapon, but I would like to put in an honorable mention here. Whatever weapon you are using, you can use Brisk Walk. Brisk Walk will make it so you go a little bit faster with Luna. And honestly, that is the one thing that I want on Luna, just to go a little bit quicker whenever I'm doing everything, making sure I can get wherever I'm going, because I'm mainly just looking at the center of my screen, trying not to miss a note, and I just want to make sure I get places quicker. So yeah, that is going to be the Inversion Reinforcement. We're going to jump into some of the gameplay and kind of Luna tech, so I can kind of explain to the best of my ability, at least, what you can do to improve your Luna play. We'll do a live little recording in the lab so we can kind of go over that. All right, so as I was kind of talking about at the start of the video, we are looking to basically make sure that our stacks are always up at 13, so we permanently have our critical hit rate increased, our critical hit damage increased, and our skill power modifier. So it is quite an interactive playstyle we have on Luna. Obviously, to start everything off, you have to bring out your gun, and you have these notes. Now, you have the option of clicking the note, or you have the option of pressing an ability to the note. So by pressing an ability to the note, you can see we change it to red, and we've gathered 1 stack of our buff. By pressing it again, we have 2 stacks of the buff. This second ability is going to give us critical hit rate. So as long as we keep hitting the notes with our ability and not our gun, we will actually end up stacking it up. You can hit them with your gun if you want to do single target damage, but honestly, it's not the greatest, and we are mainly just looking to mob here. But if you want to do single target damage, not a bad idea to do that. Now, whenever we max out our bar on the bottom, we're going to jump onto our disc, and the notes are automatically going to be hit. However, it's not going to keep stacking our buff. It's just going to keep doing damage to everybody around us. It's kind of like a little break in the madness, if you will. So we're going to hit our second ability again. We're going to be on the disc. We maxed out our stacks at 13, as you can see there, and we are now going to work on maxing out our stacks of our third ability to get our critical hit damage. So let's go like third ability, and then kind of just keep hitting them until we get to 13. Right now we are at 9, as you can see by the buffs. Now, by getting on the disc, you get a 3-stack jump. So we are able to get 3 stacks. Now we're at 13. We want to make sure to keep our second ability stack. So I'm going to hit our second ability to make sure that we have those up. Go back to our third ability. And now we are finally able to start our fourth ability. And this is just an intro. I'm going to jump into how you guys will be able to maintain this very easily. We are now at 9, obviously, of our fourth ability. Now, when you have all of your stacks, so as you can see, we have all of our stacks, right? All you do, second ability, third ability, and the rest can be your fourth ability. So now that we have all of our stacks going, you don't have to focus on anything other than just doing 1 second ability, 1 third ability, and the rest can be fourth ability. Now, the reason that this is the rotation, guys, is because the fourth ability shoots out notes way faster than the second and third ability, making it so we are doing more damage with the fourth ability. But to put it lightly and put it as simply as I can, whenever you have all 13 buffs of each one, you're just going to want to go second ability, third ability, fourth ability, and then just start spamming. Now, obviously, this is not for everybody. Luna is a very, very interesting Descendant. She's very interactive. She can be quite rewarding when you do this right. Obviously, she does a lot of damage, but you get the idea. We're maxing out our range, we're maxing out our critical hit rate, critical hit damage, and our skill power modifier, and we're getting as much as we can. That's the best way I can put it, the easiest way I can put it. Obviously, whenever you're doing this as well, you're getting shield recovery by hitting notes, which is really nice. But yeah, that's Luna. That's kind of like the tech breakdown on what you're doing with this build. You're never really going to have your weapon in your hands to shoot. Very unfortunate for the RK shield. If you do any kind of like the background footage, you'll probably see earlier is me kind of going against the RK shields and having a rough time. But shout out to No One Has to Know for carrying me through the levels with Luna on stream while we were trying to figure her out and level her up. And shout out to Moonlight as well. Moonlight in the chat really helped me out understand Luna, and a few others as well. So I wanted to shout out you guys. I really appreciate it. We're live on Twitch, don't forget, 5 days a week after I get home from this vacation. But yeah, that's the tech. I'm going to go on a tangent too long. Yeah, that's pretty much been the video. Let me know what you guys think of Luna down below. With this change, it's pretty insane. I think that she's awesome. I think she's very fun. However, you really have to get that muscle memory down to enjoy her, because it is very hard, at least for me. I'm scatterbrained, like very ADHD. I have a hard time focusing on anything else, so I'm really just trying to make sure that I hit those notes like Rick Astley. Anyway, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Like the video, it helped you out. Subscribe if you feel that I have earned it, if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys over on Twitch. Don't forget to follow me there. We're live 5 days a week. Again, after I get back from my vacation on February 1st. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. Peace out. I'm out of here. Goodbye.